Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to get going on this one. This is going to be a fun webinar. We're going to be talking about social and Cadence, and we got a big announcement here at InsideSales.com about our partnership with LinkedIn. Just to make sure I know who's in the room. I'm seeing some people here, but go ahead and put your name and where you're from in that chat box. Would like to make this interactive and see if we can get it going. There you go. Ben, Matt, Philip, Peter. Who else we got? Come on. Yeah, Terry, Mary. That's what I'm talking about. All right, good. Okay, so good. It looks like we've got a good turnout. So, yeah, guys, feel free to make it as interactive as possible. Dude Plus Solutions. Oh, that's an interesting company. I haven't heard that one before. Yeah, good. Stephanie, Adam. Yeah, now we got everybody, I think. A couple hundred. Good. So let's get going, you guys. Again, we're going to be talking about how to fit social selling into your Cadence strategy. And I am Gabe Larsen. I run what we call Inside Sales Labs. That is our research and best practice arm here at InsideSales.com. If you haven't already checked it out, you've got to. The Playmaker Podcast. We do it twice a week. All things sales, sales operations, demand generation. We've got about 15,000 people tuning in each month. It's been a blast to do it, and you should check it out. Besides that, a couple house cleaning items as we let some of the stragglers to get in here. This is going to last probably more on the 30-minute mark. I got a cool offer for you at the end if you want to stick around to kind of take the next step on this. Please do ask questions, and you will have access to this if you do need to jump out early. So with that, again, I run labs, great area for our research. If you've not checked out our research once a month, we do a huge research study. We just did State of Sales, 1,200 companies. We did State of Sales Development, the largest study ever on sales development. We got one coming up where we're looking at nearly 1 billion phone calls. Fun stuff, cool stuff. I like it, certainly. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First and foremost, just wanted to say, if you felt like you don't understand social selling or you've wondered, hey, am I doing it right on social selling? This is going to be a good webinar for you. We're going to try to get tactical and kind of give you some stuff. One of the biggest pieces of feedback I get from sales reps is, I hear all these people doing great things on social and, making all this money, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And that is such a problem with social selling. It's kind of like the emperor that has no clothes. I really don't like that word, actually, social selling, but I'll use it because I think we're all accustomed to it. But if you feel like you haven't been able to kind of get to the place of how to social sell, hopefully we'll be able to give you some tactical things today to kind of get you in the right place. Now, to do that, I've got 3 secrets for you of how people are building cadences and using social to bring kind of the best of both worlds together. The fun thing about what we do here is we actually get to live some of this stuff. I was down at Uber. We were helping them think through stuff. I get to go on the road and I get to kind of see and taste and feel what reps do, which makes this so much more fun because I can talk to you on these webinars as someone, again, not just in some tower or something. I don't know why a tower, but somebody who's just kind of sitting and researching, but someone who's out there. I'm actually in Tennessee at the moment. Working with people, so I'm in some random hotel, but I've seen people do it. I love this case study. This is Kent Vanook, used to be at Aptus, now at TalkDesk, applying some principles around Cadence, saw absolute jumps in results, and it really was just flipping the switch in a more tight and detailed cadence. And so I know if you follow some of the stuff we talk about today, you can experience some good results. So here's the stuff we're going to be talking about. 3 quick points. One is how the heck do you even build a cadence? Number 2 is understand when and where social should maybe fit into the process, into the cadence. And then last but not least, these concepts of how social can fit into the cadence and the best way to do that. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. Again, if you got questions, feel free to plug them in. Number one, how to build cadence better than anybody in the business. Cadence is a question. I mean, for you guys, give me kind of a thumbs up, thumbs down, yes or no. I mean, is cadence something that you struggle with, or is it something that you don't feel like you really struggle with? When I talk, you can go ahead and put it in the Q&A box. When I talk to sales reps, I feel like I get a lot of these questions. It's how many times should I actually reach out to people, or what methods are going to be most effective? What messaging is going to work? How long should I reach out to people? Trying to figure out what are the optimal ways to approach or build these cadences. And it sounds like a lot of you are in this same, kind of same question, same place as you think about, oh my goodness, how do we navigate through this whole cadence process? Well, good for you. I think we've got some answers today. Thankfully, we've got some data to back this up. We just finished, I say just, but it wasn't just. The idea was really studying cadences from multiple companies and figuring out what are they doing, what are they not doing. So we looked at nearly 9,000 companies. We looked at 14,000 plus cadences, and these were external cadences to figure out what was working, what's not working. Now, coming out of that study, if you haven't checked out that study, you should. There's some great information in it. We tried to tighten down the definition of what the heck a cadence even is. And this is our working definition. It's changed about 43 times. But it is a sequence of activities to increase contact and qualification. And again, this is like the 43rd version of this, but trying to narrow down, it's a sequence. There's some data in this. Activities, there's multiple different types, there's multiple activities, and there's different types of activities you can use. A lot of people just like to think about cadences contacting, but if you do it right, you can actually educate. So making sure you think through kind of what you're doing brings this to fruition. Now, that was the definition. The study also really revealed 5 key pillars or 5 key ideas around a cadence. That's attempts. Number 2 was media. Number 3, duration. Number 4, spacing. And then number 5, content. If you want to build a good cadence, these are the things that need to be rolling around in your head. Attempts, how many times should you be reaching out to them? Altogether. Media, how are you going to bring the different media together? Are you going to go more, we're going to show us a couple cadences today. You're going to go more voicemail. You're going to bring in more email. You're going to bring in more social. How do you kind of tie those together in a working pattern? Duration, start to finish. How many times am I touching them? Spacing, time between activities. And then lastly, that X factor is content. Content can be so huge. We got Janice asking, how did you come up with these 5 in the study? It's a good question, Janice. Well, it's a good question in the sense of what we were trying to figure out was we weren't trying to figure out what the 5 pillars of a cadence were. We were just trying to figure out what makes up a cadence. And as we studied the data points, what revealed itself was just these 5 areas. And so if you want to optimize your cadence, this is a great way to do it by nailing these 5. Good question there. So a lot of you might be saying, hey, I've got a cadence. I don't need any help. These are topics that I really understand. This is a cadence. I want to show you here in just a second that a rep actually sent to me, but this is what's happening in the market right now. Part of the research that we found was that reps actually say, I touch people 12.1 times. Overall, over the duration of my cadence, when in reality, when we audited them, looking at exact comparable activity types, it was at 4.05. Guys, that's a huge difference. Now, that came from our state of sales development research. That's a big difference right there. So you might think you've got it nailed down in a cadence, but I'm seeing in the market, again, studying 9,000 companies, that it's not quite that case. It didn't quite work out like that. So number 2 here is understand where and how social should actually fit into the process. If you hadn't seen it, I wrote this article on LinkedIn about, is social selling then? And I put this definition of social selling out there. The act of sales reps wasting valuable selling time on the internet. Oof, wow. I poked the bear a little bit on that one, was trying to get a debate going as to, can we get more data-driven in social selling activities? And man, I made a lot of people mad. Got some tomatoes thrown at me, et cetera. But, my biggest argument in the piece was, when it comes to social selling, don't just be a social seller, but also don't just be an email marketer, and also don't just be a cold caller. There's something about that idea of moderation in all things and finding what works for you and your audience and doing more of it. And so there's multiple activities. When we think of a cadence, you can do phone, you can do voicemail, you can do text message, you can do email, you can do social, you can do high impact mailers, something that Inside Sales we're releasing next week as part of our product set. So you've got these different options, and consider doing all of them or finding ones that work for you to really reach the audience at the right time in the right way. So today we're going to be doubling down on LinkedIn and seeing if we can't talk about how to build that in, because from a B2B perspective, there's most of it's going on LinkedIn. Now, why do I say that? Well, the main reason is because we have some good data to back that. We ran a survey, and we've been tracking social media, particularly usage in the B2B space. And what you see is LinkedIn, look at that jump, you guys, from 2014 to 2017. Now, this is not just the usage number. This is the response number. So when we asked busy decision makers, we said, hey, how likely are you to respond to tools, social tools, if someone reaches out to you? 54% of leaders said, hey, they would actually be very likely to respond on using LinkedIn. Twitter actually at the bottom, which was a little bit interesting. Facebook makes the jump, again, kind of out of the picture at 20-ish% there, more than double for LinkedIn. So mostly you want to put your eggs in the LinkedIn basket at the moment from a social selling perspective, but some fun things happening on Facebook. I've been doing a lot more on Facebook and seeing some fun things come out. So as you think about then using these tools, how do you wrap your mind around bringing social into it? Well, in the sales process, there's typically 3 types of roles you're playing with. You're talking about sales development. You're talking about account executives. You're talking about customer success. Each of these has its own nuances, and I want to just double click on it for a moment and go into, as an example, a sales development rep. As you think about a sales development concept here, how do you bring that best practice cadence out? Well, the problem is I've got different types of sales development reps, and I got different types of account executives, and each type really does affect the way that you use these different mediums. So I've got a transactional sales development rep, meaning I sell smaller deals, and then I may just be following up on inbound generated demand, or I might be selling small deals, but I'm just kind of cold calling, or I'm going outbound to target audiences. Those types of nuances, you guys, really affect the way that you bring in social and other media into it. Let me give you one example. So if I'm a transactional sales development rep who only focuses on inbound lead, typically you go with more aggressive communication methods like the phone. You don't try to kind of tickle them, go social and go kind of soft and passive. They came to you and they said, contact me, so pick up the phone and call them. Now, if you're going outbound and you're going for more strategic accounts, that's typically where you'd lead more potentially with an email or with social, because you're trying to kind of get in the door or get them aware of you maybe first before you try to just get them with the phone call. So those 2 types of nuances can really affect the way you do it. So A lot of people say, I don't know where to put social in my cadence. A lot of people say maybe they do know. I wanted to show you one example. It's a real cadence of someone that they sent to me. And I want to just kind of take you through it here. So this in particular here is about inbound leads. And again, that's one of the nuances. This is a sales rep who's dealing with inbound leads. And there is some good and bad here. What you see kind of in the main body is I start on Monday and I've got it one email, and then I've got social one. And then I wait just a couple days till Wednesday, and I do call one and social two. And then I wait till the end of the week and do kind of email 2 and social 3. What do you think of that? What do you think of that cadence for inbound leads? I'd like to get your perspective before, I kind of break it down and say what is maybe good and bad and maybe not so good, maybe really good with this. Okay, a couple people still saying not very many touches. What is that total? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 touches over a week. Couple of people saying the duration. Is the duration a little too short? Should you extend that? I mean, typically you want to go, and this would be for Tim. Tim, if you go, you only want to have a longer duration if you have activities as part of it, right? You don't want to, with this person, you don't want to say, hey, I got 2 touches and I'm going to space them, 3 or 4 weeks between. That would be a disaster. So this is a bad duration, Tim. I would probably say I'd probably try to extend it a little bit more, but you got to then watch that with the total number of touches. What else do we have here? Too few calls. Yeah, I mean, that's probably where I would jump, Hannah, is on the phone calls. It's, again, this is an inbound lead that came to you. Wow, you're really going to start with like an email and a social. I don't know if I would I don't know if I'd go that loose, right? Again, that's the nuance of what type of role you are, what kind of play you have. Day one should be a call. Mark's like, what the heck are these guys doing? These guys need to call. So bringing social into this element, you guys, when I coach teams that are really taking a lot of, even if they're account executives and they're doing a lot of inbound leads, this is not a time to bring in social, right? There is a time to bring in social, but this wouldn't be one of them. I'd focus more that on when you're trying to be a little more strategic, when you're trying to educate an audience, when obviously they didn't come to you. And it sounds like a lot of people on that same page there. So, all right, let's get into a little more of the nitty gritty now. So what is some tactical ways that you can actually bring social into your cadence? InMail is going to be an interesting one. I loved this. I don't know if you saw this blog. This is by a friend of mine, Jake Young. He runs sales over there at Grow. Cool company doing some fun things here in Salt Lake City, Utah. He just did a little test, and I love the mindset of testing, InMails versus emails. And I'm going to pose it to you guys. What do you think won? What do you think was more effective, InMails or emails? And again, this is not to say this is going to be for everybody, but what do you think? InMails, emails? Looks like most people are going with InMails. Okay, InMails. I got a couple exclamation points. John gave me 5. Mark, you only gave me 1 exclamation. So John is more loud, I guess, than you. Eric's going with emails. Robert's going with InMails. Tim's going with emails. So a little bit of a split, but most people think InMails. Oh, Mike says InMails by a landslide. Wow. 124% better reply rates with InMail versus email. Now, we've been tracking that at Inside Sales. I mean, these numbers are, in our studies, are dropping. They're dropping because InMail, as it gets to be more of a used communication, you may see it. I mean, when it's new, it's great as it kind of drops in notice. Obviously, the effectiveness goes down, but InMail is going to be a tactical way to immediately have you jump right into social selling. Obviously, the problem is that's going to cost some money. So I've developed a little bit of a solution. My goodness, that's small. I got to make that bigger. This is the way I often coach people, and I just had our marketer get mad at me. He's like, there's too much text on this slide. You need to do better at creating this. And I'm like, then you create it for heaven's sake. Anyways, apologize for all the text if you think it's too much. But this is a great tactical way for you to think about embedding social right into that cadence strategy. So I want to highlight it here and then give you an example. So, and I'm going LinkedIn for the moment, and I'm going with 3 C's if you see them on the left-hand side there. It's comment, it's connect, and it's call to action. A lot of debate of people saying, hey, should we connect first, or should we kind of try to engage first? Guys, think of it like dating. This is one analogy I wish we would just kind of stamp on our heads in sales, and truthfully in marketing as well. I mean, would you just go up to somebody immediately and try to, tell them, hey, you want to meet my parents or something? No, you go kind of a little slower. And so I always recommend, now there are times, again, you want to go direct and you want to go with an in-mail. I think it's a little different story, but if you're not connected with somebody and you want to start the social process, great first step is just to comment. We call it giving them love, leaving unsolicited validation. That's mentioning them or liking something that they've done, doing a little bit of stalking, if you will, right? Maybe doing a comment or maybe recommend one of their skills, endorse them, maybe do a follow, call them out on something. Something that's a little more subtle is an initial touch. Then you bring in that connection, and you can't do that blank, and I put some samples on the right-hand side. You want to make sure you have a theme to your connection request. And that's probably a good time to answer that question from Jamie. Jamie's, best practices, Jamie said, on connection. You can probably go Google that, Jamie, to find how are people recommending to connect. I'm always a big tester. These are about 10 ideas that I've found, and I always, again, like to find a theme, like, again, the referral. So, hey, I talked to John Doe, and he said I should contact you. Or we just came out with some research. I thought you might want to check it out. And leave it maybe, sometimes you can get a stronger call to action. Sometimes you can leave it a little more light in that connection. I typically leave it a little more light, something that I try to provide value to them. Then I move to that call to action. Ideally, I am connected with them, or this is a great time to bring in that LinkedIn in-mail where I can kind of say, hey, you maybe saw my connection request, and I love what you've been doing here. Boom. Can we talk? And you move from social to more an aggressive. And that's the thing you always got to remember with social. And go back to the dating analogy. It's like you just can't date forever. You actually got to at some point kind of take the leap of faith and move to the next step, take the commitment level to the next step. And call to action is that. Don't stay in the social world forever. Move to something more aggressive. So what does that look like when it comes to an actual cadence? This is maybe a sample that you'd want to throw in there. And I want to show you how this now works with the InsideSales.com product. Again, we just announced a cool partnership with LinkedIn in our cadence tool called Playbooks. This was a cadence that somebody sent me. I love seeing cadences. So I dare you to send me your cadence. I'll look at it. We can chat about it. If you go to cadenceassessment.accelerateInsideSales.com, cadenceassessment.accelerateInsideSales.com. You can fill out information, and I will actually score your cadence based on your industry. I mean, we've got so much data, we can do that. But this was a cadence that somebody sent me, and it was more heavy on social. Now, it was a relational sale, but you can see it's about 12 total days, 13 touches. That's a little bit stronger. And they start with a little more passive communication approaches, right? Email and social, and if you are relational, I'm more open to this. A little short on the duration for a relational cadence. What do you guys think about this? Give me your quick thoughts. I've kind of given you some of mine, but how do you like this for, again, this is not inbound leads. This is going outbound to target accounts. Brendan is saying, hey, is there a chat? I'm noticing you're addressing people, but I can't find a chat. I'm actually just addressing it in the Q&A box, just where you are, Brendan, so you're good. You can just pop it right in that question, and that's how people, they're not using it as a chat, but they almost are as I'm going back and forth with some of these people. Okay, so a couple of you brought up the duration. I think that's probably right. So Olivia brought up the duration, and I would agree that maybe that's a little short. Most of you feel like it looks like the overall touches is fine. 13 is, I think that's pretty solid. You got Pete asking about phone calls. Should you go more phone calls? Look, this is where there's always going to be art and science, Pete. I can't tell you. We know optimal number of touches typically falls in that 10 to 15, depending on kind of the nuances we talked about. But the mixing of that, I mean, they got 3 phone calls. That's usually the minimum we've seen in data. Yeah, a couple Adams saying, that looks like it's pretty strong. A lot of questions coming in on this. What is the best idea for spacing? That's coming from Joshua. This seems a little bit tight. Great question, Joshua. When it comes to spacing, this is probably the most missed out element of a cadence. That's why I wanted to highlight it a little bit earlier. Best practice spacing says 1 to 3 days. Now, I'm open to go into that 4th day, but I feel a little, remember the definition of a cadence, a sequence of activities to increase contact and qualification. You've got to educate people. And if you go a week between touches, you lose that education. You lose the top of mind awareness. So, Josh, I like to stay in the 1 to 3 if I can, 1 to 4 if you're trying to be a little more relational or strategic. Marina's questioning here. I see a lot on Monday. I thought Wednesday and Tuesday were better days to get a hold of people. That is actually, when it comes to optimal times to contact people and qualify them, Wednesday and Thursday are still your best days. The problem is a lot of people don't have that luxury. And actually, this is more of a sample because, again, somebody might be enrolled in this cadence and, again, it maybe wouldn't follow this exact day structure. But the idea is when you enroll somebody, if you're just running prospecting activities like you're a sales development, or if you don't have the luxury, Marina, of trying to figure out, I'm only going to call maybe on optimal days. If you're an account executive and you're only doing a couple days of prospecting a week, then yeah, that's a great thing to do. Find when's optimal. And it might not be Wednesday, Thursday for you, by the way. Different industries perform differently. But that's where that typically comes into play. And then another question, what about weekends? Weekends are fantastic. If you've got an automated tool like InsideSales.com playbooks and you want to have an automated email kind of sent out on a Sunday night, some real powerful stuff happening there on people opening up emails earlier in the morning, later in the afternoon, and on the weekends. We're actually working on some fun features around kind of predictive sending, optimizing it when people open it most. More fun to come on that within some of the InsideSales.com products. Anyways, great questions. Let me move on. But I want to actually show you, kind of demonstrate how this may look if you took this to the next level. This is a sample that somebody sent me. I'm going to show you within the InsideSales.com Playbooks product how you build a play and how you can use the new feature or our partnership with LinkedIn to kind of optimize this experience as you run through a cadence, and then we'll come back and finish it here. So let me see if I can open up my screen share capability. I think I can. Yes, okay. Stick with me for just a minute. Let me see if I can get this optimized and tell me if you are seeing my screen. Are you seeing my screen here? Looks like yes, maybe. I'm not going to go full. I want to bring it a little lower. Sorry, you guys. This screen share thing is not my favorite, but let's go with it for a minute. There we go. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, good enough. Maybe we'll go bigger. Yeah, let's do that. Some of you are saying that's a little awkward in the way it looked. Let me see if I could make it bigger for you here. See if I can align that. Oh man, I'm not very good with the tool. Sorry, you're not going to be very happy. I'm going to have to go back to that. Need to go full screen here. Let's see. Oh, come on. Let's stop it. I'm going to try this one more time. Hold on. Let me try it. You were seeing it, but I killed it. Let me try it one more time because I want to go full screen around this. There, it's back. All right. There you go. Awesome. Okay. Now tell me if you're seeing this one more time. See if that works. Good. Good. Yep. Got it. Okay. Good. So let me show you this. You're probably seeing the screen now. Yes. It's coming. Perfect. Okay. So let me go over here. I'm going to pop into Salesforce. And what you're seeing here is my Salesforce screen. And then I got this little green icon here. This is the InsideSales.com Playbooks Chrome extension. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Contacts tab. And I'm going to choose me. I'm just going to choose Gabe Larsen here so I don't bug anybody. And I'm going to open up our Playbooks product. You can see I've got a nice slick dashboard here, some of the stuff I have before me from tasks, some of the things I've already accomplished, and I'm going to add a new person. Ooh, did I already add Gabe? I can't remember. Looks like I haven't already, but I just clicked that Import from Salesforce button, click on the Save, and that's going to pop him into our Playbooks product, and what it does is it recommends a play. Now, what I've done is I've taken that play that we were just kind of looking at in PowerPoint, and I built it in the Inside Sales product. It's called the Outbound Target Account, so I'm going to save that. And voila, now you've got those 13 activities all kind of scouted out that we were talking about in a nice program. So what it looks like here is if I go to my plays and I go to my Outbound Target Accounts, here it is right here. So I've got all 13 plays with the different time spacing between them so that I can enroll people in that and action that. Now, I wanted to double click on this and show you. So what I've done is social one is I'm going to follow a person or company. It's a nice soft way to kind of bring people into the fold. That's social one. Now, social two, I'm going to actually leave a comment on a post. I'm going to like or share something. So I've put it in my Cadence to do that. And then social number 3 is going to be that connection request. So again, I start with that comment, then I move to my connection, and I put in a recommended connection text so that I don't just do that blank, right? And then last but not least, I'm going to go to that call to action. I'm going to say, hey, why don't you join our podcast? Why don't you get in front of me? Why don't you come to something, or let's meet in person. So I'm following those 3 steps of comment, connect, and then call to action. So that's what the actual play looks like. Now let's go back and actually execute that play. I'm going to pull up Gabe again. Let's execute a couple of these plays and see how this may work. So remember the first one, the first activity of that play was just sending an email. Now I can change this if I want to, and I've put this line in here as a remembrance to try to personalize it. Now, how do I personalize an email? I click on my View Insights button, and this is the new partnership with LinkedIn. It's a pretty powerful concept. If you've got Navigator, it's built right into the platform, and now I'm seeing not just some of the company news, what's going on with Inside Sales. I can see some of its competitors. I can see some other companies that I work with, or maybe, are similar to them. Just a general overview on Inside Sales revenue, number of employees. And I got this little toggle concept here. So I got Twitter. This is Gabe Larsen's Twitter feed. If you haven't added me on Twitter, you should. I guess it's not add, it's follow. And then I've got this new Sales Navigator. And basically what that allows me to do is get a general peek at what Gabe's doing. So I can click to the profile. I've got some icebreaker here to see what activities Gabe's been doing, to see if I can bring that into my personalized email. I've got get introduced, so other common connections we have, related leads I might want to work. So all of this is baked in, and it saves you some information. You've got all of it right here. I can bring it into my email, and then I can go ahead and send that email and action it accordingly. So I'm going to go ahead and actually send that, and I'm going to close my Insights bar and call task 1 good. Now, if you remember on day 1, we also wanted to do, we wanted to actually follow person and company on LinkedIn. So I want to action that really quick. So again, I'm going to go ahead and pull up that Insights concept one more time. And I'm going to, in this instance, I'm going to actually view the profile so that I can go and I can follow Gabe, or I could click on InsideSales.com and follow him. very easily. And again, kind of a slick interface there that allows me to do that. And then I go ahead and action that task and call it good. So I don't want to go through all of them, you guys, but you can systematically, sequentially work through this. You got a fun new plugin here, partnership with InsideSales.com. If you remember, we can connect with people. So right here, I could copy my connection request and dump that right in there and send the invite, all within one platform. Very powerful as you think about executing Cadence steps within the InsideSales.com playbooks products. But I wanted to show you, again, very tactically, how you thinking about commenting, the connecting step, and then also that call to action and how it all works nice and easy within that InsideSales.com Playbooks Chrome extension. So, all right. So that is that. Let me go back to the slides and we'll wrap up. I know some of you got a couple of questions here. It looks like most of you were able to see that. Sorry for my lack of technical skills, but I think we were able to make it. So as we wrap up, you guys, look, a couple things for success, right? I really believe if you follow these 3 steps, you know how to build your cadence. You understand when and how social should fit in, and then you get tactical. Start talking about some of these ways that you can, again, comment, connect, and call to action. You're going to see some good results. So question for you. How many of you excited about some of the stuff we talked about? Helpful? It seemed to resonate with some of you? Give me a quick yes or no in the chat box there. Looks like most of you going with yes. It sounds like most of you got some good information there. Yeah, Pete said maybe that was a little fast going through some of it. How many of you felt like some people saying they're overwhelmed? Well, I'm actually leading to that right now, Jamie. How many of you are feeling a little overwhelmed because we maybe covered too much? Lot of stuff going on, still a lot to cover. I want to throw this out there. For those of you who want to take one more step down this path, I created a course. It's called How to Build a Winning Cadence, and it's got some of the following elements in it. This was primarily the concept that we used to help Aptus go from level 1 to level 2. You take a cadence, apply the best practices around when to call, right things to say in an email, how to build social in that. Tightening down some of this stuff can be fantastic. Now, some of you may say, hey, again, we got a cadence, or I don't need it. It's not, cadence isn't for me. Guys, cadence is for anybody who's reaching out to people. If you're reaching out, you need it. You're an account executive, you're a sales development rep. You should have a good cadence. Now, you may say, I've already got a training program. I don't necessarily need more training. I'm telling you, you should think about taking this. I'm not trying to replace your training program. We've just built a really solid, based on data and best practices, includes an hour-long video course and goes deeper into what we've talked about today. Now, some of the things it covers, it talks about the 5-step process to really get a cadence, thinking about a game plan and positioning and targeting and building an optimal sequence and some of the plays, best practices around voice messages and email, some of the rules around voice messages, like what is data saying is the optimal time if you're going to leave a voice message, where should that be? Well, there's actually data, and we know that 46%, for example, of the market right now, 46% of voice messages are over 30 seconds. Is that good or bad? We know 52% of the time of phone calls, sales reps are leaving voice messages. So if you think voice messages is dead, you maybe want to rethink that. That's the kind of thing that I'm thinking about for this. So some of the things that are included in it is going to be some best practice templates on cadence, best practice email, best practice voice message. We've got tips for emails, again, some tried and true principles. Some of you might like to do it. So there's great cheat sheets, great templates, great guides for you to check out. In addition, we want you to join our Playmaker Facebook group. It's kind of a tight-knit group. It is a private Facebook group. Some of you may say, well, do I really need a Facebook group? You should be talking with like-minded people. I'm active in it. People ask me questions. We try to dialogue back and forth. We need to be talking more, in this private Facebook group has been fantastic, and so we invite you to jump into that. Now, typically, this is a $270 investment. We're not looking for that today.
If I could help you build your pipeline in a systematic way, what would it be? I know a lot of people are hiring sales trainers for that. Not $278. We're just charging $47 for it. We've got the link right there, labs.insidesales.com, courses/cadence. You can grab that link. You can also just click this link right here. If you want to check it out, I would recommend you just pop the link on and maybe check out some of the different things that are available as you go a little bit deeper down this path. Now, if you say to me, Gabe, I want to test it out, but I'm not really that interested in it, I do want to help you out. I'll give you your money back. I mean, if you buy it and you're like $47, this sucks, Gabe, then honestly, this is meant to be something for those who want to go a little bit further down this path, felt like they got some good stuff, but want to really dive in and build cadences, take our templates, take our research to the next level. But again, after a couple of days, if you're like, this isn't for me, email me at labs@insidesales.com and I'll give you your money back, no questions asked. So in addition, I want to throw this out because some of you have asked actually in the chat box if they could talk to me a little bit more. For the first 15 people who do purchase, I do want to give you this, just a one-on-one session with me to go over your cadence. First 15 people who buy it, if you want to have a one-on-one session with me, let's go deep into your own cadence, in your own social practices, talk about what's working and what's not working, and see if we can help you get to the next step. Again, you guys, we put that's priceless, that 30-minute session with me. That's not actually priceless, but I did not put that in there. It is, I think, some value. I do a lot of this with clients, and it would be fun to talk with you. So, again, I'm going to get to questions here in just a minute. A couple of you are asking different questions, but if you want to take the next step, please do it. Again, click on the link or go to labs@insidesales.com cadence, and for $47, we'll give you kind of the next step in trying to take these principles and really build it into your best practice world. So I'm going to leave this link on the page, and then I'm going to answer just a couple questions. If you have them, keep firing them. I got 3 or 4 here that I do want to get to, and I'll leave that link on there. So Philip says, if you really had, he wants to go a little bit into emails in subject lines. Pretty detailed question, Philip, but I will just touch on it. Best practices around email subject line. Philip, my thought on that is right now, as we've been playing around with it, creativity is going to always win. So if you've got options around including emojis, asking their first name has still been strong polling for us, or saying their first name. Shorter the better. Think Twitter, think 44 characters. Stay away from really, really salesy stuff. That's kind of where you want to go. John asked about those 5 pillars. Will he get the slides? What were the 5 elements of a cadence again? I'll just tell them to you real quick, John, but you will be able to have access to some of that. So again, that's attempts, media, duration, spacing, and content. Those were your 5 pillars, John, of an overall cadence. Beth asked around this idea of, we talked about it a little bit, Beth, but I think it's probably is worthwhile to review this one more time. You know, if you think about going tactical on social, should you connect first or no? So no matter what you do, Beth, if you are connecting, you don't want to leave that blank. You want to give context. Try to give value to them to get value back. But I am a believer that, God, you probably want to stay in that realm of, hey, let's start kind of playing with the idea of warming them up with the commenting section. Again, like and recommend, then move to that connect first. Now, there's going to be exceptions to that, but I like the idea of comment, connect, and then call to action. Now, so couple other people want to bring in Twitter. So I didn't go too deep into Twitter. This is Jamie. So his question, does Facebook or Twitter follow some of the same principles of commenting, and then connecting and then call to action? Truthfully, each platform is going to be a little bit different, right? I would say these 3 steps predominantly are for, are predominantly for LinkedIn, mostly because, for example, on Twitter, it's not really a connection. I mean, you can just follow them. So oftentimes I will try to, Twitter's one that I feel like you can bring right in fairly easily and say, hey, maybe as the first step, let's go follow them on Twitter, or see if we can't like some of the stuff they're doing on Twitter. But then I still bring it back to LinkedIn as I think about connecting and bring call to action. You saw some of the data on that, and I just feel like, Twitter's not the best place to go. Doesn't mean it's not right for certain industries, but I'd predominantly stay there. So they're great questions, you guys. I think they're great questions. So let's see. Yeah, Linda, good question here. Do you have an ROI on social in the Cadence mix? If the response rates are growing our sales? One of the things that's tough, Linda, is if you want to go all the way to ROI on a Cadence, actually, if you want to go to ROI on social, this one's still real difficult. Thankfully, LinkedIn they're bringing their platform and they're letting us integrate with them so that we can start to track interactions more effectively. But for a long time, it's been very difficult to really track the ROI on social. The furthest I have, Linda, right now is being able to tell you which cadences lead to better conversations and in qualification rates. Don't have it tracked all the way down to social. And the problem with that is you think about a cadence, again, you're not just tracking phone and voicemail and email, and you're not just tracking one element there, right? You're actually tracking the combination of them. So we actually have to take a cadence type, like the one I showed you, the 13 touches, and say how well does this overall cadence lead to, X or Y or Z. Now, the problem with that is cadences can vary so much, and it's hard to really single out an element like, hey, how big of a role did social have in this? But, and I didn't mean to get too off on the, down the rabbit hole on that, but in relational cadences, including social, appears to have a better external output on your ability to have conversations and get to qualification in certain instances. And then otherwise, as you move into transactional, I don't see that as much. That was kind of a long-winded answer. Can you give the name? Can we jump? Yeah, I will talk. Who was that? Ken. Yeah, Ken. Again, I'm a big. Couple of you were asking. So one of you asked, what is that Facebook group? Can we get involved in that? And then a couple of people are asking around Facebook. Guys, Facebook is an amazing tool. We don't utilize it in B2B. B2C is built on it 100%, the retargeting capability, the advertising capability, the interaction, the chat bots. It's amazing. So I've been doubling down. I don't have a lot to say on it at the moment because I've been running different tests. We have a Facebook group called the Playmaker group. Again, check that out. Please add me on Facebook. We put a lot of content out there. We are doing a once-a-week Facebook Live session. We're just testing out different things to kind of experiment. I connect with all my customers on Facebook. I've actually turned it more into a professional network rather than kind of more of a friend thing. Some of you may not want to do that, but I'm connecting with really solid business relationships more on Facebook, and it's way more personal. And truthfully, there's way more interaction. Facebook groups versus LinkedIn groups, wow. I feel like they're pretty different, probably because we're maybe a little more used to that. Okay, well, I didn't think we'd go the whole hour. So a lot more questions. Linda, you nailed it, and especially with social, we're just starting to scratch the surface on being able to really report the ability of the ROI on social. Now that's why, and I'm not the sales guy, Linda, so don't let me go too far down this path, but take a tool like Playbooks, and again, whether you use it or a different cadence tool, you can actually, and that's where I was pointing to some of those things. I can take a cadence, the one I just showed you with 13 touches, and I can show you which cadence is better than others. So we're now able to, with these cadence tools, to be able to kind of say this cadence is better, but again, getting into the real nitty-gritty, I don't have it yet where I've literally taken the exact same two cadences and maybe just changed one element, like a social touch here or there, to be able to say, oh my goodness, look, this social had that much of an improvement. So Linda and I need to talk offline here. We're going back and forth. Anyways, you guys, thanks so much. I will be offended if you do not add me on LinkedIn after all our talk today. If I don't see a couple hundred LinkedIn connections with personalized notes, I'll be offended. Anyways, please do join if you'd like to take that next step. Again, check out our course, and I will, for those first 15, let's have that one-on-one conversation. Always love to take it to the next step. And with that, remember, success is just one play away. Have a fantastic day.